for the audience, my name's Ayo Noble. I help people leave anywhere from 6 to 8 figures in inheritance tax-free. And I educate people on how to make money work for them. And
what game do you feel majority of people are playing right now?
they're playing a game, but they're not playing it with the rules in mind, thinking that how they feel has an impact on the rules. It's kind of like playing football for the first time. Ref gives a penalty, and then the ref's like, it's a handball. Then you say to the ref, oh, I didn't know. And the ref says, no problem, I understand you didn't know. But it doesn't stop the impact of not knowing.
Yeah.
And what I mean by knowing the rules of the game, you know, a lot of people are just not doing the more efficient thing.
Yep.
Most people are earning as employees.
Yep.
And there's nothing wrong with working, you know, for someone. But at the end of the day, if your aim is to keep as much money in your pocket as possible, then you might want to earn your income in another way.
I used to look at and say, how much is our charge out rates? My charge out rate is probably like £100 an hour. Yeah, I'm only getting paid
£100
a day, £90 a day.
And that's why I say everyone can be their own business owner, because
what's the biggest financial lie society has convinced us to believe?
Personally, I think the biggest financial lie is if you want to become a millionaire, go to school and then get a good job.
Yeah.
And then you become a millionaire.
Yeah.
That right there is the biggest lie. Reverse engineering is you getting the destination.
Yeah.
The destination will create the path naturally.
Yeah.
But people don't reverse engineer. They just focus more on the path. Let's say just that baseline, a 10% deposit of 200 grand.
Yeah.
To be able to have 200 grand as a deposit, as in cash, is 100 grand a year enough?
Yeah. Nope.
So you see,
Yeah.
you see how you thought 100 grand was what you wanted to earn, but you haven't actually said what life do I want to figure out what I need. So cool, let's keep going.
Welcome everyone to another episode of the Unfiltered Podcast, where we take the I out of unfiltered and put the emphasis directly on you. This is the one platform where we get to take down our filters and have raw, authentic and vulnerable conversations in regards to the challenges that we're all facing today. Now, if you're a fan of the unfiltered nature of this podcast and you want more of these conversations that I have on the show to be normalized, why don't you help me help you? To get more guests on and to have those difficult conversations in regards to the challenges we're all facing, I have to know what it is that you specifically want us to speak about. So if it isn't too much to ask, why don't you hit that subscribe button right now? And at the end of the episode, if it's been a hit for you, why don't you leave a thumbs up and leave a cheeky review in regards to what specifically resonates with you. Now, with that all being said and done, let's get straight back into the episode. Ayo, thanks for coming through, bro.
No problem, man.
Much appreciated. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't expect, like, as soon as I messaged you for you to say, yeah, cool, now I'm down to like assist and try and share my knowledge in that. So now, big love for like responding and coming through. I've been looking for people who have got an act for this financial knowledge, because I feel like that shit is so fucking useful to know. And if you're in the unknown, you're just gonna keep doing what you've possibly been taught, and you know, playing a very, very different game into what everyone else is playing in regards to like financial success and wealth and all of that stuff. So for the audience, give everyone a little introduction, like who you are, what is it you're doing, and and kind of the people that you're helping right now.
Yeah, thanks. So for the audience, my name's Ayo Noble. I help people leave anywhere from 6 to 8 figures in inheritance tax-free. And I educate people on how to make money work for them. And, you know, at the end of the day, we need to know the rules of the game and play it to the best of our ability.
That's it. So what game do you feel majority of people are playing right now? Bro, I tell you, we're going to get into it.
It's a good question. What game are they playing? Well, they're playing a game, but they're not playing it with the rules in mind, thinking that how they feel has an impact on the rules.
Fine.
So I'll give you an example. I'm a big football fan, right?
Okay, come.
And I've played football. To me, how I see it, the analogy I'd give is, it's kind of like playing football for the first time, and then you don't know that you can't touch the ball with your hands.
Yep.
Now, what you do is you touch the ball with your hands in your box.
Yep.
The ref gives a penalty.
Yep.
And you spend 3, 4, 5 minutes trying to argue with the ref, and then the ref's like, it's a handball. Then you say to the ref, oh, I didn't know. And the ref says, no problem, I understand you didn't know. But it doesn't stop the impact of not knowing.
Yeah.
And a lot of people feel like ignorance, you know, will essentially defer the consequence.
Yeah.
Ignorance doesn't defer the consequence.
For sure.
And what I mean by knowing the rules of the game, you know, a lot of people are doing, they're just not doing the more efficient thing.
Yep.
You know, most people are earning as employees, and there's nothing wrong with working, you know, for someone, but at the end of the day, if your aim is to keep as much money in your pocket as possible, then you might want to earn your income in another way, i.e. through a business, by becoming a business owner or becoming an investor.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by knowing the rules of the game and playing it to your best of your ability.
Bro, I've been telling my accountant who does my tax, he's my boy, and I've been saying to him, you need to come on the podcast and start sharing some like tax advice in regards to how people who are possibly got a second stream of income, what they could be doing a little bit differently in terms of maximizing on, I don't want to call it loopholes, but they are loopholes essentially. There are ways where you can save more, invest more, and be a lot more financially successful, I'd say, versus the standard 9-to-5 rules that we get taught to play. Because I'll be honest with you, I went school, uni, and all I was taught was this is what you should do. This is the degree you should try and work towards. This is the job you should try and get. This is how much money you should get. This is the house you should try and buy. That's the lifestyle. That's it. And no one really explored, well, what's actually possible if you go down that route? How much more money could you make by doing that? Like, it's funny. And I have a go at my dad for this all the time. I was like, brother, why didn't you ever tell me when we were growing up about how to possibly structure and save money differently? All I've been doing is sitting it in this one account. Yeah? Yeah, you're laughing, right? But it's a standard thing because maybe he wasn't so money savvy in regards to what to do, right? But there were ISAs I could have invested in. There were stocks and shares I could have put my funds into. There are index funds which you could be doing, which could just be multiplying, right? And helping you out. Nope. And so you're just sitting making this little minimal growth on your savings. For what? And if we even turn back the clocks, investing in property at an early age, learning about buy to let, learning about, well, buy this right now, this is what it's going to look like, this is what your mortgage is going to look. All of that information would have been so bloody useful 10, 15 years ago. Well, it's great doing me nothing now because the economy changed and it is what it is. But I like that. I like that because you're right. A handball is a handball. Tough. Get on with it. And that's kind of the motto for, I think, majority of people in my generation right now. Got to get on with it and try and navigate your way through. But there are ways where you can still be quite financially successful. Okay, as we're going to go into this, what's the biggest financial lie society has convinced us to believe? And how do we unlearn it?
The biggest financial lie? Oh, great question. I think the biggest financial lie is if you want to become a millionaire, go to school and then get a good job.
Yeah.
And then you become a millionaire.
Yeah.
That right there is the biggest lie. Because let's face it, if you speak, who really aspires as a child, like as a child, a teenager, a young adult, to just earn the average wage? That's never been anyone's aspiration.
Nope.
Everyone's aspiration is to do as well as possible. However, the cap or the limit of do well as possible in people's minds are essentially the highest paying jobs
That are available.
Yeah. And because that's what they think is the limit. It's kind of like thinking that the sky is the limit until, you know, you're an astronaut and now you've come out of the earth and you're on a different planet, you know. So that's the biggest lie, really, you know. Or another big lie, investing is difficult.
It's not. It's risky, but it's not. And if you strategically do it in a certain way, and this is one thing I've learned from like jumping into life coaching, you get a little bit of assistance, you see different results because you've just changed up the script for what you've consistently been doing, right? You invest in a financial advisor or a financial coach or someone whose their job is to understand the way the market works. You're in a different place completely because you're going to see different returns, right? And that's what you're doing, essentially.
Simple as that. But I would say those are the two biggest lies, you know. That ideology.
It's funny though, right? Like, because I don't know about yourself, but for me, go to uni, get a job, do a good degree. But when I hear you say it right now, it makes sense. Like, what's the maximum I could earn in this? If I went down my first graduate scheme, which is like chartered accountant, worked in audit, and I worked my way up to partner, the likelihood of it is a 6-figure salary. Fine. How long does that take to get there? Let's do the maths right now. 15 years, maybe longer than that, 25 years in that range to then become partner. How many partners are at your firm? Okay, cool. So it's a dog-eat-dog fight to get there. So you spend 25 years to earn a 6-figure salary, which still doesn't classify you as a millionaire just yet, unless you've been doing something in between.
So you might as well focus on the in-between that's actually going to get you there from the jump.
And you said it right now, like, the myth of going to university. Millionaires that I know of right now, I don't know them personally, obviously, but when you hear of Lord Sugar, dropped out. Richard Branson, dropped out. Stephen Bartlett comes to mind, dropped out of uni. These people did not follow what society told us to do and have found a way of using their creativity and using their ability to just scale up very differently. And they're playing a completely different game. Why are we not doing more of that? Could you have this conversation with the majority of people you speak to, right? And it's trying to change that mindset of them to think a bit differently and why they should start investing or preparing the funds very differently.
I think the reason is because people don't reverse engineer their life. Reverse engineering is the key to everything. Because when you reverse engineer, it helps. Because reverse engineering is you getting the destination.
Yeah.
The destination will create the path naturally.
Yeah.
But people don't reverse engineer. They just focus more on the path and not the actual destination that path takes them. Because let's say I said to you right now, Pri, okay, how much would you like to earn?
For argument's sake, let's just say randomly a nice figure, 100k a year.
Okay, let's see if that's really enough. Because I'm doing it with you. All right, cool. You'd like to earn 100k, no problem. All right, that's the number you said. Would you like to have a family?
Yeah.
How many kids would you like to have?
Let's say 3.
You'd like to have 3 kids.
Yep.
So that's a family of 5, right?
Yep.
Cool. Okay. Would you like your wife to work?
I wouldn't mind it.
Okay. Would you want her to need to have to work?
Not necessarily, but I think if she's doing her own thing, then good on her, kind of thing.
No problem. Where would you like to live?
Let's just say, I'm thinking of an area, North London, Watford, around that area.
Okay. Would you like to own your property?
Yep.
What kind of property would you like to own?
A nice house.
How many bedrooms minimum?
3 kids, let's say me and my wife, a nice 5-bedroom house.
5-bedroom house. What would a 5-bedroom house in Watford cost?
I'm going to say right now probably, I'm just making up numbers, like 2 million.
2 million. Meaning that you would need, let's say, just that baseline, a 10% deposit of 200 grand.
Yeah.
Cool. So to be able to have 200 grand as a deposit, as in cash, is 100 grand a year enough?
Yeah. Nope.
So you see,
Yeah.
you see how you thought 100 grand was what you wanted to earn, but you haven't actually said what life do I want to figure out what I need. So cool, let's keep going. You already need 200 grand as a deposit.
Yeah.
You and your wife, whatever, no problem. You want 3 kids and whatnot. Would you like to be able to send them to private school?
Yeah.
All of them?
I can't not do.
You can't not do all of them. Not fair, right? Cool. You'd like to send all of them to private school. What would the cost of private school per term be per child?
I think at the moment I know of kids that have gone into private schools at 20k a year.
20k a year,
and that's probably going to increase as time goes on.
So 20k a year, and starting from when? From secondary school, private school, like privately, or?
Now it's got to be from like early on, right? So let's just say 18 years of that.
18 years of 20k a year, meaning that each child is going to set you back almost 400 grand.
Yep.
So
that's not 100k, not enough yet.
20, so let's round it up to 400 grand, right? That's 1.2 million for your 3 kids.
Yep.
Already.
Yep.
Plus the house.
Yep.
Which is bringing in a total of
3.2 million.
3.2 million already over, let's even call that, 30 years, whatever. So, and then you have, would you like to travel?
Yeah.
How often would you like to travel as a family?
As a family, let's say 3 times a year.
3 times a year. Would you like to just travel locally, continentally or intercontinentally?
Intercontinental, everywhere.
So you want to be able to go to America, Middle East, anywhere, Africa, everywhere, right?
All of that.
Cool. How would you like to fly? Would you like to be capped at economy for your?
I'd love a little bit of business or premium economy or.
Okay.
Again, it's not. Yeah, I know what you're doing. Karen.
So you'd like to afford all of that, right? Now, family of 5 trip to Dubai business class. What are we looking at? 20 grand maybe?
Something like that. Yeah.
So you see.
Unless I send the rest of them in economy.
Unless you send the rest of them in economy. So you see how just doing that, tells you that, right? I actually need to essentially become a millionaire.
Yeah.
In order to have the life that I truly want.
100k a year.
Now, already, so you told me at the start 100k. You, by your own admission, you're now saying 100k is not enough.
Yeah.
Cool. So, knowing that, right? Tell me which jobs you're not going to venture down, or which career paths you're not even going to entertain. Knowing that you want that.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to entertain anything corporate from my honest perspective right now. purely because I can't think of a corporate job. Maybe unless you're a lawyer, I couldn't entertain anything corporate right now which stands out that's going to put £1 million in my account every year.
For you to afford the life that you want.
Yeah.
So you see how that already elimination process. You see how like you're not even going to consider being a NHS nurse or something. And not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just the lifestyle that you want.
Yeah.
That's not even a... Do you know what I mean? It's not a possibility.
Yeah.
Because which nurse are you going to find that earns that amount?
Yeah.
So automatically it causes your mind and your brain to work in a way whereby, okay, who do I see achieve this? Okay? And then you start to do an elimination process based on your skill set and what you do, or you come to the conclusion where I need to learn this particular skill.
Yeah.
Because, okay, the people that I see do this are either business owners, athletes, or this, and it's like, okay, cool, I'm not going to be an athlete, I'm not going to be a musician, I'm not going to be an entertainer. All right, what are the things that are possible that isn't particularly talent-based that I can do? Okay, I've seen business owners. What kind of businesses? Or I've seen this, that. Okay, what other skills? Or I've seen people in the finance industry, or even if we're going down medical, I've seen people, you know, maybe that they own their own private practice. So maybe I can be a doctor, but I know that I'm not going to be an NHS doctor. I need to have my own private practice. What do I need to do? Do you see? So naturally, your whole like all your time and effort is put into the right things versus, oh yeah, I want the life that you want. I just assumed 100k was enough. I found out 100k is not enough because 100k PAYE is probably like 65 grand
I was gonna just
after
say
tax. Meaning that I'm really left with just over 5k a month.
Yeah.
But I just said that I want to send all my kids to, like, do you know what I mean? It's going to take me a whole year just to send 2 kids for the term. And that's without me even paying my mortgage.
Yeah.
So something's got to give. Now all of a sudden you don't have the life that you want because you haven't reverse engineered. And that's what people do. They don't reverse engineer. They just go into things thinking, oh, this should be able to do what I want. Then they come to the unfortunate realization that it's not. Spend 10 years realizing that. Now you've got to now unlearn everything and start again. Whereas had you had someone to tell you from the jump, listen, what you said that you want, these paths ain't taking you there. You need to look at these things because this is what's going to take you there. Much better. And that's what I try to do for the younger generation. It's like, look, I'm not going to say, okay, you know, you're 18 now, wait till you're 30 to figure out that that's not the right path. Why don't you, you know, if you had someone to tell you now, you could spend all that time, you know, imagine a decade of experience in the right thing that produces the right results that you want. And you've got a decade of experience by the age of 28. You're smiling.
Yeah.
You're happy.
It's crazy. And like what you've said right there, like if we had this conversation while I was 18, best believe I would have considered things a lot more differently. One, put myself into a student uni debt, not a problem, fine, it is what it is. But the choices I made based on what society told me to do was, this is going to be fine. I'm going to be comfortable. No. Brother, unless you're like at the top of your game right now, unless I've got other streams of income coming in. If I knew this while I was 21 or 22, going into that grad scheme, I would have thought very differently.
You would have thought very differently.
Why is it that we don't get taught that?
Do you want the truth?
Yeah, go on.
The question is, why is it that we're not taught that by fill in the blank? Who are you expecting to teach that? That's the thing. So it's not why we're not getting taught it. It's who you expect that teaching to come from. Now, if I'm being honest with you, for that teaching to come from the government, that would be counterproductive for them. Let me explain why. How does the government make money? Tax, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You've told me that the government makes money through tax. Right. Who pays the highest tax?
Highest earners.
In employees, right?
Yeah.
PAYE.
Yeah.
So let's divide it into 4 quadrants. You have employees, the self-employed, business owners, and investors.
Yeah.
The employees pay the most tax, correct? At 45%, right? Self-employed people.
You have assessment based on whatever it is that you.
Do you get it, right?
Yeah.
Right? So they're almost like, they still pay high tax like employed people, but they get to deduct stuff.
Oh yeah, when I was doing both, bro, I was getting, my tax was crazy.
Then you have business owners who only pay corporation tax, which is it 25% now? Or is it still 19%?
I thought it was 20%, but I would say that
let's say between 19 and 25, depending on how much you earn, right? And then you've got investors. If you're not doing property, you're looking at between 10 and 18%. If you're doing property, up to 28%.
Yeah.
Look at that already. And you said that their biggest way to earn money is through taxes. No problem. Now, your business, imagine your business, because sometimes what I say is people don't put themselves in the shoes of the government properly. You're the government, you know that your biggest income is tax. You want as much people to pay the highest form of tax, right?
Yep.
Cool. Now, you do this thing called public school. If you're going to invest in public school, bear in mind, the teachers have to get paid.
Yeah.
The people that go to public school, they go for free. They don't pay. But somehow there are expenses attached to it.
Yeah.
Now, any good business person is looking for an ROI, right?
Yep.
No problem. So you've invested in this thing called public school. Public school is basically where you're going to send people to be taught, indoctrinated, programmed. What are you going to program them to be? Are you going to program them to have their best life, or are you going to program them to essentially become human capital? Because that's what they are. That's the term, right? Human capital.
Yeah.
You're going to program them to go into things that are going to put money back into your pocket, right?
Yeah.
So what would that programming look like? You'd be programming them to go into things like employment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you're going to reap the biggest return on that, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you're paying for it up front. Yeah. If I'm investing, I want a return on my investment. So if I was going to make this thing called school, would it make sense for me as a business person to say, I'm going to invest in this thing called school and program everyone to go down the path that's going to pay the least tax, i.e. I'm going to teach people how to become business owners and investors and have a great life and keep more money for themselves and pay me nothing? Or would it make more sense for me to go and teach them and, hey, go to school, get a good job?
Yeah.
Now, when you figure of it like that, you kind of see how stupid it is to be like, why isn't the government teaching you this, right?
Yeah, nah.
Why would you see how it doesn't make sense to expect them to teach that?
Yeah.
It's counterproductive for them to teach you that.
Yeah. It is. It's crazy how you've just spun that though, now thinking of it. Because it's like that creativity, that I'm not saying it's not there, but I can only think of, like, say, STEM subjects being like the main focus you should go down. Mm-hmm. Unless you went to a particular school where they specialize in, like, say, drama or certain creative arts, etc. Like, that wasn't anything you could really go down. Like, I can't remember anything at school if there was an entrepreneurship program. I know at uni there was a society, but I don't know how much emphasis went into it. And I'm trying to think, like, there wasn't anything really telling me how to set up my own business. If anything, it was taught how to get the best job, how to be the best accountant, how to be the best person in finance, the best consultant, etc. There was nothing that really taught me, this is what setting a company looks like. This is why you should set up a company regardless, and this is how you're going to generate income, and this is how you're going to get taxed, and this is what it looks like in the long term. Don't get me wrong, going down the finance route, I learned about accounts and tax and how to set up a company from a financial perspective. However, no one really drilled in what's actually possible if you just set up your own company. We did the maths. We used to look at and say, how much is our charge out rates? And I'm thinking, this is crazy. My charge out rate is probably like £100 an hour. Yeah, I'm only getting paid £80 a day, £90 a day.
And that's why I say everyone can be their own business owner, because you got to think about it. The company that you work for, that you get a salary for,
yeah.
If your salary is 60 grand, do you think that you only make that company 60 grand?
No, hell no.
Now, when people are buying from your company, is your company doing the fulfillment, or is it you?
Me.
It's you doing the fulfillment. What the person's paying for is the fulfillment that you're going to do. They're not paying for the company name. However, like you said, they're going to pay £100 an hour for your fulfillment. You're going to get £100 a day. Now, what stops you from setting up a company and charging the rate that they were willing to pay anyway?
Nothing.
And you do the fulfillment and you get the tax breaks?
Nothing.
That's why I say it. And then people say to me, oh, but not everyone can be a business owner. Not everyone can. Why not? If you are good at your job, then you're good enough to be a business owner, because all you have to do is set up a business, which takes no more than an hour.
Yeah.
Because all these things, it's just paperwork.
I hear you. I feel like what you're saying there, though, there's that imposter syndrome feeling that comes up for someone who feels that they don't have the acumen of how to run it like this business has been run by. So I know, like, doing what I'm doing right now, my business coach has been thrown into me. No, Pri, you've got to be a chief marketing officer at times when it comes to like ads and thinking about how you market your stuff. You've got to be the finance officer when it comes to like sorting out your invoices and how you're going to get income coming through. You've got to be the operations officer when it comes to all of this other stuff. You've got to be the coach as well when you've got to do the coaching role. But I feel like what you're saying right now, not everyone can be a business owner. Of course they can. I feel like people might stop themselves because they feel, oh shit, I don't know this, I don't know that, I don't know that, so I can't do any of this. I'm just going to stay and play it safe and do this 9 to 5 because this is okay.
And that's where outsourcing comes in.
Exactly.
You see, it helps for you to, try and learn all those things. But if possible, you can actually
Get help.
Get help. There's someone that knows, that's willing to lend their expertise to you.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is, like you see it all the time. People will be to me, how I see it is your salary is literally no more than 5% of what you generate the business. That is how a business operates. Any company you work for, if you get paid 50K, I guarantee you're the value that you add to your company because you're keeping your job is at least $500,000. At least. You're not delivering your business 75 grand and getting 50. No. What you're delivering for them, the value you're adding to them is at least $500,000.
Yeah, if I think from an audit perspective, like you have the audit fee, what it's worth, and how much income they get from it. But like, if you think of how many audits you're doing and how much this is generating, like this is the crazy part of it. In that accounting space, you saw what the partners earn in terms of their bonuses, right? We never got a sniff of that. I remember my first year or 2 years, it was like 100 quid if that, or my bonus, and these partners are getting a 6-figure bonus.
Meanwhile, you're the one doing the fulfillment.
And and I know there's a process to get there, so I'm not knocking that, but it makes me think like all of these hours you're doing for what potential reward at the end of it, and it's nuts. In terms of getting rich and being more wealthy and thinking outside of the box, like okay, it's fine going down the business owner route. Obviously, that's not an option for everyone per se, depending on what industry they're in. Like if you're in the NHS right now, to go private, it's going to require X, Y, and Z. So it might not be the first move you can make, but there are steps you can take in that process, right? How do you shift that mindset? Like, what things are you recommending right now for someone who's, let's say, works in the NHS or someone who's in education right now? Like, what steps are you forcing people to start taking to then be business owners moving forward?
Well, first thing I'll do is look at your skills, your passions, and a problem you can solve. The key to everything, right? Money hides in problems, and it's rewarded to the people that solve problems. Yeah. So the more problems you solve, or the bigger the value of the problem you solve, the more money you make. The more people that you help solve their problem, the more money you make. The more expensive and painful a problem that you solve, the more money you make. So the key is not focusing on the money. The key is focusing on what problem do I want to solve. Yeah.
What value you bring to the table?
What value are you adding?
The service or the product that you're providing.
So, and literally, I've just put together a money program where in one of the modules, it helps people figure out what would be a good skill for them based on their unique passions, problems that they notice. Because that's the thing as well. Just because you notice a problem doesn't mean everyone notices that problem. Yeah. So that's a sign to you that problem is essentially, you're the one that's called to solve that problem.
Exactly. So like with my coaching right now, it's the same thing. I work with a certain type of clientele. That doesn't mean that I can't work with everyone, but this solves this challenge that they're going through. And they hire me to work with them over a period of time to get past whatever it is that's coming up for them right now. I like that. I like that.
And the other thing I would say, because you mentioned teachers, teachers have a brilliant and valuable skill already, which is the ability to condense information and transfer it in a digestible and understandable manner. Yeah. The only thing they need to now do is find either something that's more valuable and sought after to teach. Yeah. Because the teaching skill is a great skill. Of course. You just now need to substitute what it is that you teach, or who it is that you teach, or how you teach it. For example, this is just what I'm thinking off the top of my head. If I was a school teacher, right? Let's say I was a secondary school teacher, college teacher, whatever, any type of teacher. And that means already the school is already giving you your clientele. If it was me, I would be like, right, exam season's coming up. Therefore, to all the parents of all my students, you already trust me with your child every day for about 8 hours a day or 6 hours, whatever it is, that's what you do. Yeah. So you don't question my ability to teach. In fact, you let me teach your kids all the time. Exams are coming up, or it's summer holiday, or it's half term. Who would like to enroll their child into my paid program, which is a tutoring program of some kind, to prepare them for the exams? All of a sudden now, what you wait for in a month, you can make that in a 6-week holiday, like in a day. Because now, let's say you've got a class of 30 students. 15 of those parents might subscribe to that. They might actually all pay you £20 an hour or whatever So let's say £20 an hour, you do 2 hours.
Yeah.
With
600 quid.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. For 2 hours worth of work.
For 2 hours
in a day.
Versus what you're not making £600 a day in you working in your school.
It's true.
Now, if you do that once a week for 4 weeks, you've just made
2.5K.
2.5K in 8 hours of work.
That's a day's work.
Because you do it as a group thing.
Yeah. And it's just another way of looking at it, right?
So now you've made your whole month in a day. Life
is good. And I get it. I get it. I love how you've just articulated that.
And you could go to multiple schools doing that.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, it's not difficult, but it's
hard.
application. But there is a big fear. I think that the fear that comes up is that imposter syndrome. Can I do this?
You can do it. You teach every day. You've been teaching for years.
I know what you're saying.
You know exactly what you're doing.
I know what you're saying. Bro, you need to do some more motivational talks, man. This is sick. Because it's true. Like I tell my clients this from more of like a life and dating and relationship kind of like mindset. But respectfully, you are so bang on. Like I've recently got Simon Squibb's book, What's Your Dream? And he just hones in on asking people what their dreams are. No, you can do this. You can do this right now. Get on it. I want to invest in you. Like there are people out here to help. There are people here to push you. It's just being brave enough to take that first step and seeing what's actually possible. And I feel like the biggest challenge people have when it comes to this is I don't know if I can, because they've been conditioned not to be able to think like that. That's the biggest challenge. But yeah, keep saying what you're saying, and I guarantee you more people are gonna like follow suit and start being a bit more different. This is powerful as fuck, man. I just the way you articulate is actually so sick.
It's that simple, isn't it? And think about it. The school is giving you everything you need to be a self-employed person or like to be a business owner, because you don't even need to leave your job.
Yeah.
Like you do parents' evening every freaking year.
Yeah.
That is you having the one-to-one interview with your client. The school's doing it for you.
Yeah.
Every student, their parents are going to come and sit down with you. You could say, you could easily suggest, even especially your naughty kids. This is why, but I feel like they have a lot of potential. In fact, what I've thought that would really help them is after school on these particular days, on these hours, I've got a program that, I'm able to give up my time for this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
You get 10 kids to do that.
You get some extra income.
You've just made 400 quid.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's very interesting. I think sometimes the logistics behind it, that can you still do it on school premises? But
it's online. You don't need to do it on school premises.
That's my point. There are ways. This is the problem that people come up with. Where can I do it? Blah, blah, blah. Realistically, solve that problem once you've got the people coming in first. And that's what I would be my kind of push towards it. One of the other questions I got written down here was, if someone's starting from zero right now, no assets, no savings, what's the first move they should start making in regards to building generational wealth?
First thing they need to do is get an income.
Fine.
So this is the process of success. You get an income. So what I always tell people, so again, I'm not against 9 to 5s. I just think that if you want a certain lifestyle, 9 to 5 won't get you that.
Yeah.
You need to see your 9 to 5 as your first business partner. That's how you have to view that. You cannot view this 9 to 5 as your livelihood and your life. Your first business partner. That's what that 9 to 5 is. That regular income, that right there is your first business partner, your silent investor, whatever you want to call it. You now want to take a portion of that income and make sure that that money is being put to work. Now, the first thing that I would recommend, or if I was talking to my little brother, that money, you should put it into developing a high income skill. Okay. So if it was me, I go to work, I make this amount. I'm going to save up whatever it takes to invest in someone's course or invest in some sort of skill program, whatever.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are against courses and things like that. And sometimes I just look at them and I'm like, but wait, you pay 9K a year. You pay 9K a year plus more to you pay 9K a year to university for a course, because that's a course, right, that you're going to enroll in, and that money that you pay has interest on it. So you pay about 50 grand a year to earn 30 grand with, and you got to pay 50 grand with interest back. How does that make sense?
Don't make sense.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. People are against investing in themselves.
There you go. Now compare that to, I'm not even saying pay this much, but compare that to paying 10 grand once into a course that's going to give you a lifetime skill.
Let's say coding, for instance. Coding
so, do you know what I mean? Let's say someone's got a coding school and they say, right, it's 10 grand to learn how to, code and do app development.
Yeah.
or or how to build AI software, and you know the world is already going in that direction. You know that forever and ever, someone's going to need either a website, an app, or some sort of AI solution, or some sort of, code-based situation. You paying that 10 grand once. If you earn 10 grand a year only for the next 10 years, you've just made a 10x return on that, because there's no interest on that.
Yeah.
Versus, no, I'm going to pay 50 grand and then go and be applying for a 27 grand job.
Yeah.
But the 50 grand that I owe accrues interest. Yeah. The 27 grand that I get, I don't even get that after tax.
Yeah.
Then I've even got outgoings, but I still got to pay the 50. You see how silly that sounds? Yeah, in comparison to, let me just pay this guy that's where I want to be, or this girl that's where I want to be, to learn how to get that skill that has put them in a position that I also want to be.
And we're always learning and trying to improve, right? I think the silly thing with this is that, like, you don't know what's possible until you do that, until you invest in yourself. So when I became a life coach, I did Jay Shetty's coaching school on a whim for my own personal development.
See?
And I fell in love with the idea of coaching, and I got told, you've got a gift. Use this, that you need to coach more people. And then all of a sudden, fast forward 4 years later, I'm coaching regularly and I'm charging a reasonable rate for my coaching services. And I'm now doing it full time, and I'm having more and more conversations. I'm learning more and more about business. That only came from me being in this place, networking with the group of people that were in there, and learning a bit more about this craft and this gift. I don't have to coach. I could just stop. I could just podcast now. That's a completely different thing. But respectfully, by doing that, it's planted the seed for me to quit work and now do this full time.
See what I'm saying? Look at that. So let me just ask, what you paid for Jay's
Jay's
course, have you made?
Oh yeah.
From what you've received from that course, what you've implemented, and the coaching that you do, have you made a return on that investment?
Yeah. Everything I've invested in terms of, I remember because it was COVID year. I spent fees have gone up now, but at the time it was like an early thing, so it was like I think 3.5K. I then got another coach. I paid for a laptop, MacBook, paid for all of this shit. I had no money coming in just yet. So I'm thinking, bro, all my friends right now are sitting at home working from home doing fuck all. I'm not sure what work they're really doing during the COVID time. They're stacking, and here's me just splashing cash like I'm a millionaire. I'm not. I'm burning through my savings right now. And then I signed my first client. Fine. It wasn't like the most glamorous of packages, but there's a way of doing this now. And then all of a sudden started working with more people, speaking to more people. My confidence now is raised because I've got coaches telling me, you're here right now. How do you make your confidence higher? Let's talk about what's holding you back. Let's learn a bit more about this craft. And all of a sudden, I'm able to speak to people. I'm able to reach out to you. I'm like, this guy's got 100,000 followers. Why is he going to want to message me?
Because I'm a normal guy.
But my point being, the mindset was I couldn't do that until someone said to me, just do it, see what happens. That investment has got me here to now speak to you in this room. And in terms of my coaching, there's a reason why I can speak to the number of people I can speak to. There's a reason why I can hone into say I work with women only. There's a reason why I can still talk to certain individuals and say, it's going to cost you this much work for me for 6 months. When do you want to start? Because I've built that craft. I've learned more about it. I 100% agree with you. Like, I think if we do have that mindset to invest more in ourselves, we see what's actually possible for us.
Definitely, because and you've proven it. But literally, so they go there, go to work, get that money. You know already that money is, to build yourself. Do not go and create a lifestyle that creates hyper dependence on that thing. Yeah. Don't do that yet. You've now invested in yourself. Now you've got you've now invested in a way to get a higher income skill. Yeah. Now this skill that you've now invested, so like for you invested in Jay's course, which enabled you to coach. Now you make even more money. Yeah. Now from that money, you're supposed to now take again that money and now put it in some sort of vehicle that produces money on its own without your time. Yep. Then when that money gets produced, if you're really wise, you take that money again and you put it in another
100%
until you get to the point where you're making so much money in your sleep, you can now start spending from
That's the mindset where I'm at now.
So that way, you've almost got a money printing machine like what the banks have. But where people go wrong, they go get, their full-time employment, which they're not in control of. If your boss one day comes into work and just doesn't like you anymore, you're gone. However, what they've done, they've attached a whole lifestyle that requires constant cash flow. However, the constant cash flow is not in their control, it's in the hands of someone else. So just like that, you've got this, super finance car that's costing you God knows how much a month. You've got a giant mortgage, you've bought more house than you can afford, and you need these payments because if you miss, 1 second, you don't even have an emergency fund to keep your life going. Now you're hyper dependent on this income. Someone's got your whole life in their hands. So now they can start telling you all sorts of things. And you've always got to be deciding, do I lose my livelihood to keep my integrity, or do I lose my integrity to keep my livelihood? Yeah. Whereas if you go with the path that I'm telling you, which is, you work here 9 to 5, whatever, you take that money to fund, to invest in yourself. So now to develop a high income skill that's now going to enable you to earn more than 2.5, 3K a month. Now you can earn 10K a month for whatever that high income skill produces. And then from that 10K a month, you've got your expenses. Let's say, it costs you 3K a month to live. You've got 7 grand left. From that 7 grand you should be putting away, to essentially build another pot of cash that can be invested into something else that can now also produce more money. Let's say that thing that, produces a couple £100 a month, you want to keep scaling that and scaling that and scaling that to the point where it produces 3-4 grand a month. So now passively, whether you do anything, whether you do your high income skill or not, you've got a source of income that will cover your lifestyle.
100%.
Then the next stage is now making sure that source of income produces the 10K that your high income skills producing. So now you've got, 20 grand a month coming in if you're working, 10 grand a month coming in if you're doing nothing.
Yeah.
And your lifestyle is not in question, it's not in jeopardy whatsoever. That's what the wealthy people do, but they do it to the furthest extent. They go further and further and further with that. And that's what everybody should do.
No, I've got a friend of mine who's done really, really well, and we had a conversation. He was like, "Mate, if you want to sit on my table and have these kind of conversations, you need to be thinking really differently about how you can maximize and make the most income," and pushed me very, very hard to start doing a lot more different things. And on the back end of it, his conversation with me, he was like, "Mate, everything I make right now, I'm investing. I'm using this money to double down because I need more. I want more. It's this isn't enough right now. Yeah, I'm at this table. Yes, I've got Bitcoin. I've got this, and that's not enough. I need more. And it's it's that hunger and it's that drive to keep going further and further, and not just settling for this ceiling. It's breaking through that ceiling, and I respect that because what you've said right now, it's very, very as simple as it sounds. Quick maths. You've broken it down to a degree where it might seem a little bit long. Maybe the course isn't the right course for you. So, well, what? You've got a skill from it. You can either use it or not use it. Go do another one. Mm-hmm. And it's building this skill set to then see what's possible. If you're say, for instance, a self-employed person who wants to get involved in, let's say, a completely different industry, let's say hair and makeup as an example, right? Mm-hmm. There is an industry there. You've got people who have events, weddings and stuff where they need people to do their hair and makeup. You have celebrities that might require hair and makeup. So there are avenues which you could explore. If you invest yourself in the right program, which teaches you the right things, you then get the right products in, which is going to allow you to do X, Y, and Z. You then have the right, learn about marketing in a certain way to then appeal to that audience. Best believe what you want to be doing to maximize money, you could be doing it for those celebrities if you really want to. You could be charged, say, it's going to cost you a couple of grand for me to do your makeup for this film set that you're doing, or whatever it is, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That wasn't possible until you applied yourself. It's crazy.
And, because to me, it's just, look, why would you pay 9K a year to learn how to run a business from a teacher that's never had a business when you could pay, like you said, 3.5 grand to a guy that's running a business, which is coaching, and he's telling you how to succeed like him.
Yeah.
He's where you want to be. So it means that whether or not you pay him, his life is great.
Yeah.
It's your life that you're trying to improve.
Exactly.
Versus I'm paying this school to provide me this teacher who's never ran a business a day in his life, doesn't own a business. He's even an employee, so evidently doesn't understand business.
And that's no discredit to the education system, but there is a discredit in regards to what actually you can obtain from it to be quite useful for you for your life, right? But do you feel, and this is say with people when they possibly approach you to try and work with you, do you feel like there's a resistance to say, what do you really know about this? Because I feel like that's where there's sometimes a mishap or a miscommunication in regards to the outcome. When I work with someone, I'll tell them straight up, I can't guarantee you're going to get a boyfriend or a girlfriend at the end of this program. I'd love to, but I don't have control of the other person. However, how I'm going to work with you and this framework I've got laid out in regards to building your confidence up so you can walk in and out of this regardless to what happens, that's going to change the game for you. Not necessarily from a personal perspective, but what does that promotion look like? What does that new business adventure look like? What does that fitness look like? What does that look for you in terms of this overall life image, right? Not necessarily the get you a boyfriend kind of thing and happy days. Forget that. That's irrelevant. What does that confidence look overall? I know for you, in your line of work, there is a gap in regards to someone just doesn't quite understand what is it they're really going to obtain. Like you said, you've got this program, right?
So it's a money course that I've put together where it's self-paced, so they can learn it themselves. It's got different modules regardless, so it's not even out yet. So I'm just essentially letting your audience know beforehand.
When this comes out, hopefully it is out, and I'll be plugging it all in anyway, so you just let me know.
So I'll let you know as soon as it's out. But I thought, right, everyone says, why aren't we taught about money in school? And even the way things are taught, sometimes most people like to make things confusing. I like to make things as simple as possible. Because to me, proof that someone understands what they're saying is how simple they can make it for you. If you can explain it to a 6-year-old, then I know that you understand what you're saying. No jargon, no fluff. And I think it's incredibly important that people get the right information as soon as possible.
100%.
How many times have you heard the saying, if I knew what I knew now when I was 18, my life would be fill in the blank. And that was the motivation for me to put it together, because I thought, well, so many people have said that. And me personally, I wish I knew what I knew now when I was 18. And I've always said, if you're my friend, you would have heard me say, I feel like the older generations failed us. Like, surely, like, the conclusion I've come to about school and the outcomes that, the system produces, surely I can't be the smartest person in the world to be like, oh yeah, I'm the only one that can see it. You must have seen it. You've already been to uni. How many times have you heard people say, yeah, I went to uni, I've got, masters, I've got this degree, I don't even use it. Or I've got this qualification, I got these grades, I'm still working in a supermarket. Do you get what I'm saying? And it's like, oh, I studied engineering, but, I got to work in my local Wilco because I can't get a job, even though I studied engineering. I got a first class, I got this, I got that. So you're telling me that all these people have done that and none of them could say, look, you next generation, right? I already know that you guys think that you're going to come to this thing to get a good job and get, whatever. It doesn't work like that, surely. So I just thought, you know what? Let me be the person to let them know. Now, I'm not stopping you. If you're going to uni for STEM, then yes. If you're going to uni for something whereby you need that qualification to practice, definitely. You're not going to be a doctor without going to uni. You're not going to be a lawyer without going to uni. These things are very, very necessary. You're not going to be an engineer without going to uni. It's necessary. However, it's when you start doing things like, business administration studies, drama, it's like, come on, man. Which one of your favorite actors went to uni to study acting? It's a talent. And that's where the finesse is. That's where the swindling is, whereby you're paying to study a talent that's not going to guarantee anything.
It's true. I like how you said that, because it's like, if I really wanted to study like graphics at uni. I did maths of economics because it was the thing you should have done. And I really enjoyed like the creative side of being able to just go on a computer, create logos, brands, etc. and stuff. And like, fortunately, I still have got that creative side, but it's only come out on the back end of then jumping into coaching and then going on Canva and creating stuff and learning what works and what doesn't work and that. But respectfully, you're right. Like, did I have to go uni to learn this? No, I could have learned bits and bobs, but what would have been a good university degree, and this is why they don't do it, would have been how to set up a business.
Again, counterproductive.
But it would have been
to their aims and objectives.
And the truthful about, like you just said, you could possibly spend that $9,000 working with someone over a year for someone to teach you. This is how you set up the business. This is how you get the systems in place. This is how you set up a mailing system.
It'll be a much better $9,000 spent. See, it'll be cheaper, and there's no interest.
There's no interest.
And you get ROI once all you have to do is make $9,000.
That's it. Then it's done. Bro, when this program's out, let me know. I definitely want to plug in as much as I can, because it's dropping gems. And I looked at one of your videos. There were a few of them. One of them in regards to like how much you earn and what that works out after tax. If this older generation knew earning 100K actually only gave you, is it 65K or something like that? but earning 50k earns you 40k after tax, whatever the maths is. There's not much of a difference after tax, regardless to this bracket, right? So surely it would make sense to stay, if you wanted to stay safe and have a 50k job, having a second stream of income as well, where you're getting less tax on that, is a more viable option than trying to pursue this 100k salary, which isn't going to get you that much in return.
And that's one thing I say to people. It's not how much you earn, it's how you earn.
Yeah.
100k as an employee is very different to 100k as a business owner, which is very different to 100k as an investor.
Yeah.
100k as an employee, you make 100k, the government gets first dibs on your money, you pay all your taxes, all your NIs, all of this, and then you now have to live off and cover your expenses with what's left. 100k as a business owner, all expenses come first, I then pay myself, that's even a further deduction, and then I pay tax on what is left.
Yeah.
See the difference? And then 100k as an investor, if I make 100 grand on, let's say an investment, that's the return or the gain on that investment, and it's not property. Let's say at most I pay 18%. Do you know what I mean? I'm left with, what would that be? 82 grand? How are you telling me that you're going from 65 to 82 on the same 100 grand?
Doesn't make sense. Do you know it's nuts? Like, just because you mentioned property right there, I think there's this myth around like how good it is to like jump into the property market and buy a property, because unless you have the cash available, sometimes it ain't there. I think you wrote down the salary you need to buy a home in the UK, in London, you wrote it was 152,000 roughly. Manchester 64,000, Birmingham 57,000, and depending on where you are, what you're getting paid, if that ain't coming in, no chance. If you live in London, you need 152k to be able to buy. Who's earning 152k? What jobs is it? I don't even know how
you're
much.
You're gonna have to join incomes.
I don't know how much the Prime Minister earns. I think that he's on 150k. From my understanding, I could be
something like that.
Make it make sense. So, I remember I tried drilling the lesson I've learned from a number of podcasts around like property. Someone said to me across the lines, well, it wasn't someone, I heard, banks aren't stupid. You buy a property, you deposit whatever it is, whatever you're paying over your 30-year mortgage, 15 years, you're just about covering interest. And after that is when you actually start paying for the asset.
That's why you need to overpay.
Yeah. Don't get taught this. You just go whatever's cheapest for your mortgage, right? That's what you're going to run. And so if you rented, argument's sake, say your interest, your mortgage repayments were, like, say, $3,000 a month. If you rented for $2,000 and the extra grand you had that could have gone towards your mortgage now goes in towards an investment fund or something like that, you multiply that, £1,000 times by 12, that's 12 grand a year. You multiply that, it's 144 grand. What does that fund look like in those 15 years versus this property that you were meant to buy? What if that doesn't necessarily go up or down? Think a bit more outside of the box now, kind of thing. Right? Don't get suckered into the idea that you have to have a property to be successful. If you've got the cash and it makes sense, of course you can. But if you don't, and you're playing this race right now where you need to keep paying $3,000, and interest rates are going to keep fluctuating, if that's not sustainable, and if that means you have to stay in this 9-to-5 job, which doesn't allow you to be then free and creative, you're kind of putting yourself into this like difficult position.
Well, my take's a bit slightly different. I think everybody should own property. Here's why I think everybody should own property. Because of the long game. In the short term, it's going to sound great to not own property. However, in the long game, you will regret not owning property. Here's why. Let's say you go down the route of not owning property. Well, why would you want to pay the middleman that's adding interest on rather than paying the bank directly?
Yeah.
Because that's what's happening. Yeah. If you don't own property, you have a landlord, assuming you rent privately, unless you're renting from the council.
Yeah.
Now, most people aren't renting from the council.
Yeah.
Right? So, because the council's not, just can't. So, your landlord has this property, meaning he has a mortgage. Your landlord is not an NGO or a non-profit.
Yeah.
He is in business for profit.
Yeah.
Which is nothing wrong with that. So it means that if he's paying the bank directly 1,000, you will be paying more than 1,000. So now, how could it be better to pay more than 1,000 and be at the mercies of a landlord that can change the rent when, not essentially when he feels like it, but
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like at some point, the rent can be raised and will be raised. Yeah. Why would you want to put yourself in that position where you could be in a position where you just pay the bank directly, meaning it's cheaper, naturally. It stays the same.
No, I agree.
And then when you get into retirement, you will have the highest outgoing disappear.
Yeah.
In comparison to you rent forever, as you get older, your cost of living will go up because inflation will take its toll. You know, once upon a time, our parents will probably say that, oh yeah, you could rent for £600 a month. You try rent for £600 a month now.
Where you getting?
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, we're talking about rents now. All of a sudden, average rent in London, we're talking about, you know, we're mentioning numbers like 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, 1.9.
Yeah, for 1 bedroom.
For what? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, let's imagine what it's going to be in 30 years' time when we're all coming to retirement and those kind of ages. What are we going to say that one bed's going to be 2.5?
Nah,
Three grand? Do you really want to be in that position?
I'm not disputing that. I think the flip side of it though is if it, like, say, come retirement and you've been following the strategy where you've been renting, but you've constantly been investing in. I'm not saying like funds. That was just a basic example. The guy's name, I think, is Ramit Sethi.
I think I've seen that guy. Yeah.
And he makes a valid point. Like, in terms of, if you looked at what this fund could possibly accumulate, he did a quick.
I would say do both. If you can, do both.
Yeah. And obviously, if you have the means to, like, I think he said, like, when you rent, you have the flexibility to move. So let's say, for instance, rent's increasing here. If the weather's also shit here, could you set up shop somewhere else, possibly? And if you've got a job which is remote and you have the freedom to be able to work in a country where rent's a lot cheaper, you have a better standard of living, why wouldn't you consider that if you're still making money versus paying for something which then possibly takes away your standard of living? Does that make sense? So, like, if you are paying £3,000 a month and that's all you're getting every month for a mortgage, where's the further investment in your education in regards to learning that new skill set to then enhance your business?
So the key is to not buy a house you can't afford.
Okay, and I agree. But obviously, I'm talking about from London perspective. But in general, if you can't, you're in that kind of a bit of an issue. But this is why people possibly should speak to you a little bit more.
Yeah, and that argument of moving, why do people act like, oh yeah, you're just going to rent a new house in like 4 days? It doesn't work like that.
No, it don't.
How many times have you seen on the news that, 50 people have all applied to rent this one particular thing, and now you've got to outbid each other just to get it?
Yeah.
Like, for me, the whole freedom, like, no, it doesn't work like that. You don't just, okay, cool, I don't want to live here no more, and then by Saturday, I've got a new house. It doesn't work like that. You got to look for a new place to rent.
Yeah.
You got to like the area. The process is, the only difference with a homeowner is I get to make money when I move because I get to sell my house, make a profit, and then buy a new one.
Yeah.
Whereas, if you're paying rent your whole life, like, think about it. Let's say you're paying rent at 1.5 a month for 40 years. So let's do the maths. 1.5 a month for 12 months, we're looking at 1,800, right? 10 years, we're looking at 180 grand. 20 years, 360. 40 years, because let's face it, if people don't die, it means that they're going to rent forever, right? So let's say you're renting for 40 years, and that whole moving thing, let's be for real. People live in the same area for 20, 25, 30 years anyway.
Yeah.
They don't move every 5 years.
I think the older generation, maybe the newer generation, like, if you got the opportunity right now to set up shop in a country where it was a little bit more financially more efficient for yourself, or the standard of living was a lot better, you might think twice.
Oh yeah, I probably moved there, but then how quickly am I going to move again from there?
No,
we're not going to move every 5 years.
You don't know. The next opportunity arises, and this is the thing. If you live in the mindset where you can't, I suppose you can't possibly explore that. But I do hear what you're saying, because like over that 40-year span, if you're just renting consistently, it's not an end goal.
Do you know what I mean?
For like our generation, because someone tried to drum it down and they say, back in the day, I think, like, say if you take away, like, if you say 20, 30 years ago, when my parents bought my house, the multiplier from what they earned to what the house price was times by 4.
Or so even 3.
Yeah. So paying that wasn't a problem. Now, if you're looking at, say, 10 to 12 times, you got no chance. You're saying the average, you have to earn 150k to own a property in London.
Well, London is killing our people.
But my point being, like, unless you move further up the country, but even if you move up to like Manchester or Birmingham, if you're not getting paid a London wage and you're being capped now, even then it's still a bit more of a difficult scenario. And so, like, rates are constantly getting higher, electricity bills are getting higher, all of this stuff which constantly increases. Like, what does that standard of living look like?
And that's why I say one income is too close to none, and it's non-negotiable that everyone needs to be a business owner.
I hear it, man.
It boils back down to that again.
Yeah.
The only way to be in control of your money is to be in control of your money.
All right, so let's just say right now, someone walks through the door, they have a 9 to 5, right? They're going to spend the next 10 grand that they've got in their savings into a course, and they're going to learn something. And they come up to you and they're like, all right, Ayo, what do I do next? I've got this. How do I what's the best strategy for me now? Like I've invested my money. I've got my coding degree qualification. I've got my still 9 to 5 that I'm doing. So I've got the skill set. How do I double down and maximize on this to then be useful for me moving for my future finances?
How old is the person?
Let's just say, for instance, they're 30.
Do they live at home with parents or not?
They live at home, yeah.
Brilliant. First thing first, you live at home with parents. Let's keep the costs low. Hopefully your parents don't charge you any rent.
Yeah.
That extra money that you're making, you shouldn't be doing it to be doing lifestyle. You should be setting that money aside to essentially, first of all, get an emergency fund. 6 months of expenses. That's your first savings project.
Yeah.
That's done. After you've done that, you're back to zero. That money doesn't exist. Then you're now going to say, right, okay, cool. How can I, generate income from this high income skill as quickly as possible, as well as obviously the money from work? You want to then take that money to either, duplicate yourself in your high income skill so that you can now turn your high income skill into even more revenue.
Yeah, or your full-time gig.
Literally, so that now it can replace your job. Now, your high income skill is really high. You could be doing lifestyle. Still, delay that gratification. Don't do that. Scale it even further to the point where you've now got cash to be investing in other ventures. Do you get it? That's the process. So now you want to be able to have the other ventures that have nothing to do with your high income skill per se, but are very, very passive.
Yeah.
Or it can even have something to do with your high income skill. You could probably produce a digital product. If you can get that digital product that doesn't take your time to essentially, it brings in enough every month to actually cover your lifestyle and your outgoings, you've won.
Win-win.
You're in a win-win situation because, do you know what I mean? Look at that. You've got the high income skill that, when you actually dedicate your hours to, it produces a very, very high income. That money has now been put into a way whereby this makes money regardless of what I do.
Yeah.
If that, the thing that makes money regardless of what you do can just meet the expenses, then your high income skill, the time that you put in, that's a bonus. You're in full control of your time because you do not need to survive. If you feel like I don't want to do anything this week, then you don't want to do anything this week. Nothing's going to change. Your lifestyle's not going to stop. It's that formula. But you see, that formula sometimes takes time, and that's where people go wrong. The delayed gratification.
Yeah, we're impatient as fuck.
They're impatient.
Because I was feeling like that. I was thinking, I'm putting in all this shift right now. I'm putting all the hours in to get, and like my coach was like to me, respectfully, Stephen Bartlett, Jay Shetty, it took them 10, 15 years to work on this skill set to be doing the thing that they're doing right now. So you just keep applying yourself, keep pushing yourself, keep learning your skill set further and further. You keep putting in the work and the hours. Talk to me in 10, 15 years time. If you carry on with this process, constantly learning and evolving, you'll see a different version of you turn up. So no, I agree.
Then when you look at it and you start to put ages on that, what people need to remember is the 10, 15 years is going to pass by anyway.
Yeah.
It's going to pass by anyway. It's like someone saying, I don't want to do this course. It's 3 years. I'm going to be 30 by the time I finish. You're going to be 30 in 3 years anyway. Do you want to be 30 in 3 years with nothing, or do you want to be 30 in 3 years with a skill that's going to set you up for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
The time is going anyway.
Yeah.
So saying that, but it's 10 years, it's 50. It's going to happen. I doubt you want to die, right? So 10, 15 years is coming anyway. And if you put ages on it, if you start at 18 and, only at 28 do you now get to have the dream life you want for the rest of your life, you're not going to complain.
No.
If you start at 20, 15 years, 35, if you sacrifice 15 years, now imagine someone saying to you, cool, from the age of 35 onwards, you're going to live life on your own terms until you die.
Oh, you ain't complaining.
Even if someone said that to you at 40, from the age of 40, let's say you live all the way to 80. From 40 to 80, you're going to live life exactly on your own terms. Every single minute, every day, no days off.
I ain't complaining.
And all you have to do is just build up to that.
Yeah.
And then once you reach that, you're good.
Yeah.
But that's what people need to see it as.
Yeah.
7 years of sacrifice for the rest of your life doesn't even compare.
You haven't got an audiobook, have you?
I don't.
I'd recommend it, bro. Everything you're saying right now, honestly, like I don't know who's taught you specifically and how you've learned, but I know we said at the start of this, like whether or not it's going to resonate with the audience. Fuck me, is it going to resonate with the audience? Because it's a very, very different type of conversation. And what you're saying right now is going to be so fucking inspirational for, let's say, for instance, right now, the man or woman that listens to this who has children. how do I equip my kids to be in the best space possible? It's going to equip the youngsters that listen to this right now who are just coming out of the graduate scheme or still in that space and thinking, fuck, yo, like, maybe I've gone about this all wrong. I shouldn't be just like trying to get up the corporate ladder. What I should be doing right now is listening to Ayo and doing this and investing in my skill set here and learning that and applying myself and learning how to make a business. And I do feel like people are heading in that direction.
Literally. And this could be applied to anything. Yeah. If you're someone like, you know, you're getting a grad job in HR, what is stopping you from learning from that company on how to build your own HR company?
Yeah.
You could build a HR company and now you're helping other people, small businesses that can't afford HR services or full-time staff. You could be doing it in an affordable manner. You're now maybe, you know, outsourcing the actual fulfillment. So let's say you've got the knowledge, right? So you've got the knowledge to be able to teach someone else how to actually fulfill.
Yeah.
You now go to a small business and say, hey, look, you need HR thingies, because, you know, or services. I know that this company will charge you 10, 20, 30, 40,000. It might cost you 50,000 for a full-time employee. I'll tell you what, I'll do, you know, the things that you need for you and implement it for you for X amount.
Yeah, 20 grand. I've just saved you 30 grand.
Just like that. And then because it's just you know, and it's on top of your full-time income, as long as it's something scalable that you can do for multiple businesses, that's the key. So now you can make it affordable for the businesses, and then what you can now do is have multiple businesses, which will eventually surpass your salary. Because if, let's say you're on a full-time salary of 50 grand, and, you know, you can somehow in a way package it whereby you will do, you know, part-time or some sort of part-time services.
10 grand a year. That's 110.
That's 100 grand already.
Done.
And then on top, you could probably even get, you know, some sort of assistant to actually do all the fulfillment, whereas you actually oversee the business.
Yeah. And that 9 to 5 now goes down to possibly, let's say, a 9 to 12, Monday to Friday, and then you do a couple of hours here and there, depending on what you're actually doing for these companies. If it's all repeat work, best believe there are systems out here which make it a little bit more. Yeah. Now you're onto something, my man. Are you not? Do you not speak here? I had all these questions written down.
Go on.
I've not had a chance to get through. Now it's bare, but I if you could, let's wrap up with this one. If you could give one piece of financial advice that would shift the mindset of an entire generation, what would it be?
Okay, this is not financial advice, but if I was having a conversation, so what would it be? It's called cash flow for a reason. Money is meant to flow. Money is meant to move, and you need to put money to work. At the end of the day, you have enough money. It's not how much, it's what you do with the money. Because if you were actually to look at how you spend money, you would realize that the only thing that's stopping you from being as successful and wealthy as you can be is because you keep buying things that don't produce money. That's it. There's nothing else. There's no trick. There's no, I need to go into this. No, you just keep buying things that don't produce money. Other people keep buying things that does. That's it. Yeah. And then what they can tend to do is they end up spending the money from money that's already working. You're spending money from hours worked.
That's it.
So if you go to work and your only source of income is work, right? And you make 1,000 in a week, meaning that you had to work 40 hours for that 1,000. Let's say you make $4,000 a month. If you buy something for $1,000, you have just sacrificed 40 hours for that thing. Now, you got to ask yourself, if someone said to you, hey, I'd give you this thing if you work for me for 40 hours, would you do it? If the answer is no, then you know you shouldn't be buying that. That simple. If you started looking at everything like that, when people are buying clothes, okay, you know, you make £10 an hour. So what, you think that top is worth 10 hours? Yeah. Would you really go into that shop and say, hey, I'll work here for 10 hours for that top?
No.
You probably wouldn't.
I heard someone say it, like I think it was Jasdeep Sawhney. He was on Stephen Bartlett's episode and he said something quite similar, like when you're buying things, you're actually making them richer. Because if you buy that watch, that's not an investment long term, is because you're putting money into someone else's pocket. When you buy that fancy car, you're putting money into someone else's pocket. What's that actually doing for you? How long has it taken you to get that? Yeah, in your context right now, if it's taken you, let's say, a month to earn $4,000 to spend that all on a holiday, would you tell someone, all right,
I'll work for you for free in exchange for this holiday?
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't, would you? No. So you see, again, it's all about how you earn. Because the people that are buying these things, remember, if money is making the money, absolutely. I didn't spend that time doing that. The money spent that time doing it. And that's what I keep saying. It's because you're taking money and buying things that are not producing money. Whereas if you took that same money and bought things that produced money, you'd be in a much better place. That's all. Because there's people that spend the same thing, it's just on different things. You know, if you're spending 2-3 grand a month on clothes, you know, experiences, Amazon, you know, this, that, like you spent that. Someone else spent 2-3 grand on learning a skill that's going to produce them 10k.
It's interesting.
It's all about what you spend the money on. So what you need to do is get into a habit of, you tend to spend more money on things that produce money
versus
on things that either, you know, that don't produce money, or as a result not only doesn't produce money but costs more money.
I think you talked about buy assets, don't buy
liabilities.
Don't buy liabilities.
Simple as that. And you know, a lot of people, when they think of assets, they think of the most but I don't have enough money to buy a business, or I don't have enough money to buy property. Start with investing in yourself by buying a way to learn a skill that produces lots of money.
Even if you buy, like, say, a stock,
even
that's you buying something, and if that goes up, that's you generating money without doing anything. It's a simple concept, yet some of us are so scared to do that because we're like, oh, what if it goes down? So treat that if it's gone. But if it makes money,
what if it goes down? How many times have you bought something and then shortly after the company put a sale on it?
Oh, mate, it hurts.
You see what I mean?
It's wounding. I buy a kit.
It went down, didn't it?
I'm a United fan. Come December, all half price.
So you don't complain?
No, I do complain because I fucking put it in August. Like an idiot. I'm the idiot.
But do you know what I mean? It's not that detrimental to you. Like, so in terms of same thing.
And
at least that can return back up. The kit is never coming back to the price.
Unless you keep it in prestige condition and 10 years down the line someone wants to buy it or it's signed, you ain't doing anything. Bro, it's probably going to rot. But bro, this has been sick, man. I really, really appreciate you coming. I know we thought where this conversation would go, but mate, the passion, the energy, it's taken me by storm. Like I can't thank you more than enough for finding the time to come up here.
I appreciate it.
Plug in your social, man, where everyone can get in touch and reach out to you.
Yeah, so everyone can reach me on Instagram and TikTok, Ayo Noble _. So that's Alpha Yankee Oscar, November Oscar, Bravo, Lima Echo _. You can find me there. And of course, you know, we didn't even talk about, you know, life insurance or what I do and all of that, and financial protection. But guys, you know, financial protection it should be a non-negotiable. Like if I ask you what's more important to you, you know, your car or your life or whatever item you have or your life, you're all gonna say your life. But your bank statement says otherwise. You know, where your money goes will show me what's important to you. Now, when you're talking about life insurance, that's for your family. If your family is not important enough for you to put money aside every month to make sure that in the day that you're not here, their lifestyle doesn't, you know, deteriorate, then I don't know what to say to that. Then you've got income protection. If you only have, you know, if you can't make money, if you're sick or injured for whatever reason and you can't make money, what happens? If you don't have, you know, a source of income to replace that, you're going to be living a £439 a month. You tell me if that's enough for your lifestyle. And then, of course, you got critical illness. 1 in 2 people are going to get cancer. You know, if there's a list of illnesses that you need to protect yourself from. Now, if you're someone that you're telling me you can't set aside at least 1% of your income on a yearly basis towards the protection of the 99% of your income, then you need to revisit that. So it's important. Everyone needs it. Because as I always say, don't die for free. And that's essentially what you're going to be doing if you don't have life insurance. If you don't have life insurance, your family is destined to be on GoFundMe. I'll tell you that for free now. And I'm not saying it because you can pick any advisor that you want. You don't have to come with me. But making sure that your family's protected in your absence, if you haven't done that and you're telling me you have no good reason to do that, either you don't like your family or I don't know what it is.
No, I hear it. No, I know we didn't get into it, and by all means, like, I'd love to get you back in again and have this, bro.
We'll have another one,
bro. You just spun things differently, man. I got through like 2 questions I wanted to ask you, but now respectfully, this is nuts, man. And like everyone like listening in, like, definitely hit him up. His content he's been putting out, I've literally just been flowing through. We didn't even talk about, like, say, your 7 tax secrets and stuff like that. Like, some very general information, but it's so fucking, like, useful information. And it's like, I think that every average person probably doesn't know this. And once you start getting to know this, you might see your life chart changing for you from a very financial perspective in a positive way. So
definitely.
Love, my man. Thank you for definitely coming through. I really appreciate it. And then, yeah, thank you. Thank you lot for listening to another episode of the Unfiltered Podcast. If you've liked what you listened today, drop us a like. If you've got any comments in regards to what we spoke about, if there's something you disagreed with, or there's stuff that you did agree with, drop us a comment. And lastly, if you haven't subscribed yet, give us a subscribe. Whether you listen to this on Spotify, Apple, or if you're watching this on YouTube, every subscribe goes a long way. And look, why wouldn't you subscribe? If you like the unfiltered nature of the podcast, surely you want to be in tune to whenever the next episode is coming out, right? Anyway, I'll catch you on the next episode of the Unfiltered Podcast. It's been your boy Pri, and I'm signing out. Peace.